What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XDC Network today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. All right, here we are at about 7 cents now, consolidating, chilling, right at these prior areas of resistance here, prior areas of resistance and support going back in time here. Looking at this on a weekly basis, you've gotten very overbought back in November and cooled way the hell off since then, right? Relatively similar lows on a closing perspective, yet dramatically lower lows in the weekly RSI. It's not hidden bullish divergence, but it's some kind of form of diverging in your cooling off. It's a bullish thing, right? You're going dramatically lower in the RSI, the indicator, but you're really just chilling at the same areas here. So I like seeing that. Overall, your weekly RSI is bullish as hell, is all I'm trying to say by that, right? If we look at the relative low from August 5th, or that week in August there, 2024, to the relative high in January of this year, you've gone just below your 382. You don't seem to be respecting this fib too well, in all honesty. Maybe you're not. Let's see. Maybe you're taking it from this low. That's a bit better. What about this low? Because that is your technical low there. Let's run it with this low. Because some charts are a little bit different. This isn't how I would normally do it, but some charts are different, and you have to adhere to the chart. Treat charts like people. That might sound weird unless you're a technical analyst, but treat charts like people, right? Each one has its own personality. They're all different, but at the same time, they're all the same. Whenever it comes to like their core underlying values, for the most part, we're all the same, right? And charts, they all are the same to a certain degree, of course. That's why technical analysis works across multiple charts, but they might have their different personalities, and where you have to fine tune. Okay, maybe this one, it likes to let it likes to be barefoot. I don't know. It likes to be covered up all the way here, but the foot gets uncovered. I don't know how to phrase it, but it likes to not have the fib at that absolute low. It's more of the relative low instead of the absolute low. But from a low to a high here, you did find support. It's hard to say with this scam wick here, but I guess you found support at the 0.5, all the way up to the 236, back to the 0.5, rejecting the 382. Not the best look, I will say, but I'm having a hard time believing you go too much lower. Without the scam wick here on February 3rd, and I think that if we take that into consideration as just like a kind of fake price action, I think you actually do look like you're in a really good position. What you need to do now is get above the 382. You need to get above about 8 cents, right? From the current stance, it wouldn't be good if you close below the 0.5, because if you do that, you're going to go down to about 5.2 cents to 4.5 cents, which, oh no, that's terrible, right? But not really. That's just an opportunity to buy more. But you have consolidated. You have held up rather well compared to most cryptos, especially from this most recent pump that we had back in November and December, January times, right? Going back here, looking at the move itself, from this relative low to that relative high. I mean, that was a 500% move, man. That's well above the average. I think the average coin was like 170%, so that's crazy. That's phenomenally higher. And the average coin on that note also gave back all of their gains back to the prices that they're at in November. So holding up well, moving up well, beautiful, right? If anybody's like, well, yeah, but from a high to a low, it dropped more than the average crypto too. 61 point. That's not that bad. I think the average crypto dropped like 55 or 60% itself, so that's actually not that bad. That's better. Man, this thing might have some stuff going for it, some really good stuff, and I know that it does. But let's just see here. $1 billion market cap. I mean, you got a lot of potential. A coin like this, as crazy as it might sound, and maybe I'm talking to the right crowd for sounding crazy, a $100 billion market cap or more is possible, right? I don't just throw that number out there lightly, right? There's a lot of coins. I know I talk about a lot of coins that have 100x potential, multi-100x potential. I haven't even been afraid of calling for 1,000x potential. And there's one coin out of probably like 5 in the last 3 years that I've given 1,000x potential to. There's one coin that actually looks like it might hit that from when we made those targets. It doesn't happen often, but I don't throw those targets out there willy-nilly. I calculate them based off of what I think is possible in the market caps, what we can see, what I have seen in history. And the only coins, getting back to the point, the only coins that get to a 100x, a $100 billion market cap are coins that have been around for multiple cycles, right? That's basically it. There's only 2 coins that have ever existed, and Bitcoin's not one of them, that saw a $100 billion market cap or higher in its first bull cycle, and that was XRP and Ethereum. No offense to XDC Network, but I don't think you're the next XRP or Ethereum, right? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but you've been around for multiple cycles already, and that's kind of my whole point. You've been around for multiple cycles now, and longer than this. This chart doesn't even actually show the whole history of this, right? I mean, I think it's Bitfinex. Yeah, that shows the whole history. This thing's been around. I got a lot of dirt on that. Wow, since 2018, right? Maybe even before 2018, sometime in the late part of 2017 when they're developing it. I don't know. It's been around for a long time. A coin like this with this kind of stable structure, being in this institutionally involved cycle, being that this is a coin that caters to institutions and is implemented in that kind of aspect to the crypto world. Yeah, showing stability, showing relevance, cycle after cycle, year over year. Even when you're being boring, you're still not dumping off a cliff. Yeah, coins like this can be and do see 100 billion plus market caps. So I'm not milking the cow here. I'm not I don't know what to say. I'm not buttering the bread. I'm not just saying this for the effect of it, even though I know what effect it has. Is that this thing is not just a 100x potential coin, it's a multi-100x potential coin, even at this valuation of $1 billion. I don't say that for any coin that's at $1 billion, but this coin I think definitely deserves that consideration. Let's get back to work, okay? We're getting back to the crypto chart here. Looking at this from a monthly time frame here. If we go back to last cycle's highs in August of 2021, we go to the bear market lows there in December of 2022. My immediate target assumption most of the time, almost always for every crypto, is between the 1618 and the 2272. So let's just outline this, right? Somewhere it's normally oftentimes either right here at the 1618 or just above the 2272. Oftentimes you don't stop here, but sometimes you do in the middle. So even though I have it as a box, we don't really consider this. It's more like one or the other. Does that make sense? Let's look at this. So the current market cap's 1.1 billion, right? From the current price to the minimum target, which this would be the minimum target, that's only an 11x. Only an 11x, I know. So $11 billion, I guess that'd be what? Just over $12 billion, something like that, right? Could happen, sure. Yeah, that might happen, but I don't think he stopped there. I personally, that's laughable, in my opinion. 1886, 20x, okay, we're getting somewhere, sure, but oftentimes you don't stop there. What about the 2272, just above that? Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. You're at 7 cents now, and we're talking about potential target all the way up at about $3.78, multiple dollars in value, 54x from here. We were just talking about the logistics of seeing a 100x. Yeah, okay, I'm on board with that. I'm not on board with this because that would mean you're underperforming the average coin, which we've already established is not what you're doing, right? Since November to here, you grew, what is that, like 320% more than the average crypto in this same amount of time. You held up basically the exact same. If we look at others, we go to others here and we look at what the average altcoin did in this same time. From a high, look at where they are. The average altcoins back down to their October prices, November prices, let alone, right? From a high to a low, it dropped 61%. XDC, you dropped 61%. You outperformed on the pump and then performed on par with the dump. That doesn't happen, man. If you pump harder, you dump harder. That's just how it is. But you pumped harder and you dumped on par. You're outperforming the average coin. And circling back to this idea, are you going to stop here at a 10x? Maybe. 11x? Maybe. Maybe you stop right there, but then you're underperforming the average coin. And coins that outperform the market, they tend to continue to outperform the market until the end of the cycle. So I don't think you'll stop there. Even here at the 200 level, this is still underperforming the average coin, and I just don't think you stop there. So genuinely, when I'm saying this, the 2272 generally is a maximum expected target area. But in your case, XDC, it is the minimum expected target area. You likely, at a minimum chance target, have a 54x or something in you like that, right? The reason why I have it just above the line, again, the 2272, you oftentimes don't stop there. You go just above it, just a little bit above it, not anything too crazy, right? Nothing like this. In fact, if you see something like this, you likely don't stop until the 2618, which, by the way, is your next target, right? So first off, let's finish the thought. $4, $3.50, somewhere in that kind of area. That's your minimum target area. $3.50 to $4, you're at a price right now of 7 cents. That's your minimum target area by the end of the cycle is $3.50 to $4. By the end of the cycle, who knows when that is? I think it's going to be November of this year, but we'll see. For altcoins at least. If you go to the next area, which you could, we've already established that you could see a multi-100x with this thing, this cycle. That gives you about a 110x right there. That puts you over $100 billion in market cap. Could you stop there? Absolutely. $7.74, that's a good target to have as well. Now, I say minimum target here, but I wouldn't be surprised if you stopped in this area, right? 774, seeing a market cap that is over $100 billion, it wouldn't surprise me, but that is a lot. That's a tall order. I don't want to say that I would bet against this, but I just wouldn't bet on it, right? I would bet on this, right? I wouldn't bet on this, but I wouldn't bet against it either, right? Because I think it has a very solid chance of happening. The next target after that, and with the 2618, you either stop at it or below it, but you don't actually go through it really. If you do go through it, the 2886 is to be considered, even the 3113. And now we're talking about a $330-something billion market cap, which is possible. $340 billion market cap, I think, is what that would be. To potentially like a $200 billion market cap. In fact, something that's just over $200 billion. That's reaching for it. And this is where I would in turn say that this is not impossible, but this is more maximum potential. So you see the difference, right? The difference of how I kind of analyze this, right? Minimum potential, I would bet on it. Midway potential, I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't bet against it. Maximum potential, I would bet against that happening. I don't personally think I don't think that you're going to see 1425 to 2388. I accept it as a possibility. And I mean, with that, even if I'm being fair, I probably wouldn't bet against that either. I was just saying that more for like an effect to complete the thought point there, but the point of the thought. But truthfully, I wouldn't even bet against these numbers if I'm just being real, because it could happen, man. Crypto can be crazy. I just have a harder time seeing you being worth multiple hundreds of billions of dollars first, especially being at such a low market cap now, but it could happen. I'm more entertaining the thought of seven, let's say $8, maybe even $10 as psychological resistance. Again, you don't normally stop just above the 2618, but in this case you could. So something in there, I like that actually. $10, $7.75, I like that area, and then at a minimum $3.52 to $4, I like that area as well. So something in there by the end of the cycle. Phenomenal growth, right? The average coin's expected to do a 25 to a 35x. This thing's minimum target area that we're expecting, that we've made sense out of, is basically double that. So that's phenomenal. That's great. We love to see that. Looking at this on a weekly basis, again, I think that you're in a prime position to start growing. I think that if you were to go lower, you would have done it already. And this is not a head and shoulders pattern. This is not some kind of bearish configuration. I mean, it could be, you never know, but I doubt that you're going to go lower. I think, truthfully, you're going to continue to rise. You're going to see new all-time highs with the print of this next move. I think that your next endeavor here is going to take you, let's see, how high are you going to go from a high to a low? I would anticipate that you see prices that are around, if not above, 30 cents. That's the expectation, and you're at about 7 cents now. So that's going to be some decent growth. You really could go as high as like 50 cents or even a little bit above there, but I think above 30 cents is the expectation. 36 to 40 cents is where I'm thinking, and time will tell how that goes. But that's all I got for you guys. That's just the next move, not the end of the cycle. The next move I think will be by the end of June, right? From a high to a low here. Yeah, I should say, let's even refine that a bit. 23 cents to 40 cents. I like that. 23 to 40 cents is the target area. But hold on now. What is 23 cents from a percentage growth? Yeah, that would be about average. You could. It's possible that you could perform on average, but I really do like that 34 to 40 cent area. I think that's where you're going to go on this next move. A replication of this move here is what you're going to see. And maybe, just maybe, man, you persist higher. Sometimes you don't stop at these levels and you'll see the 2272 or higher. So you can see some crazy growth. It wouldn't surprise me seeing a new all-time high after multiple cycles, seeing a new all-time high or a new relative high off of this, and then lifting off with the rest of the crypto markets, coming off of this fresh double bottom here, this nice Eve and Adam pattern that you got going on. I could be underestimating this thing, man, and it might see higher prices. But time will tell. I'm going to stick with 34 to 40 cents by the end of this move in June, and then prices that are likely, how high was it? Let's see. Likely above 352 by the end of the cycle, and below $10 by the end of the cycle. That's what I feel the most confident in. Okay, take it easy. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.